Yes, the big pop, obviously, in Spider-Man No Way Home were the subsequent appearances of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Everybody went crazy, everybody nuts. But there was a big pop in the movie before that. Early in the film, as Peter, Hap, Aunt May, and MJ were sitting in Peter's apartment, they had a lawyer, and that lawyer was Charlie Cox. Now, that got everybody excited. And, of course, it continues the discussion about, Vincent D'Onofrio being there. We got Charlie Cox there. The original Netflix series are coming over to Disney Plus, but they are going to be locked behind a gate. I got reprimanded by somebody at Disney Plus yesterday.
You did?
Yes. Somebody at Disney Plus said, you guys called it a paywall and you called it a whatever. Well, we prefer to call, when I say they weren't mad, they were just letting me know. We call it a gate. We call it an age restriction gate. So the Netflix shows are coming to Disney Plus, and they will be behind an age restricted gate, unlike the other things. But it's got a lot of people wondering and talking about what is the future of these characters, specifically Daredevil, Kingpin, on there. Well, a lot of people have some opinions about that, particularly saying it's going to have to be, they got to do rated R. Again, the debate is still out there. Is this the same iteration of Daredevil and Kingpin that we had in the Netflix series? I don't really think they are. A bunch of people make some good arguments as to why maybe they are. We'll find that out for sure later. But Charlie Cox has decided to weigh in on this. He was being interviewed about some other movie that nobody cares about. I kid. I'm sure people care about it, but it's not the one you're thinking of right now. So he was being interviewed and promoting some stuff, and he got asked specifically about Daredevil and will it be rated R if they do another Daredevil series or whatever. And this is what Charlie Cox had to say. He said this. He said, I wouldn't put it past the folks at Marvel to be able to accomplish that, making Daredevil PG-13. I wouldn't put it past the folks at Marvel to be able to accomplish that, making it PG-13. I'm such a fan of everything they've done so far. I wouldn't underestimate them at all. So if they wanted to make a more PG version of Daredevil, I back them to find a way to do it where it really feels totally in keeping with everything we've done. And maybe there's a little less blood and maybe there's a little whatever, but I back them to do it. So Charlie Cox is coming out and saying, yeah, we can do this thing PG-13. We can totally do PG-13. And I'm on board. And I back their play. If that's what they want to do, I'm totally in their corner to do it. Now, what's else is interesting is Joe Blow points out something else, and this brings up another discussion altogether. But he says Cox went on to express that while he supports a PG-13 Daredevil, he still doesn't believe that his Matt Murdock would work in the same family-friendly atmosphere and reality as someone like Spider-Man does.
Interesting.
Which I think is rather interesting that he would say something like that. But at any rate, that aside, we got Charlie Cox. It kind of feels like Marvel has sent out Charlie Cox to start laying the groundwork, maybe start getting people to temper expectations or maybe even set what the expectations are going to be. Rob, Charlie Cox said the main thing he's talking about here is he's totally good with it doing PG-13, just a little less blood should be fine. Marvel will be able to find a way to do it, no problem. Do you think that even with the new gate that Disney Plus has on for their content stuff, do you think if a new Daredevil movie or series comes, that Marvel will now follow suit and keep it PG-13, or do you think they may explore making it as an original property R after hearing what Cox said?
John, for me, it really all is about presentation. Like, you can present, as we've seen in The Batman, you can make something that's PG-13 and it's still very hard hitting, very, very adult in tone. And I think Marvel could do that, but I really think at the end of the day, we always talk about ratings on this show, whether it's PG-13, PG, R. It isn't so much the rating as it's always about character and story, and it really depends how you present that. And Daredevil, I think even in the comics, Daredevil is a character that leans more toward the R rating of the spectrum, but I think they could absolutely pull off a PG-13. And let us not forget another Burnett axiom. There is nothing that cannot be made better with the proper application of ninjas. And as long as they put ninjas in Daredevil and we have the Hand and Elektra and whoever, everything is better. It doesn't matter whether it's PG-13. If we don't see the limbs being cut off on camera. If ninjas are there, it doesn't matter.
How many times have we said on this show that if Spielberg really wanted to make it iconic and legendary, Schindler's List, ninjas.
Ninjas, dude.
Would have fixed it.
I'm telling you.
All the problems with Schindler's List would have been fixed with ninjas.
Pick your favorite movie. Tell me it wouldn't be better.
Jaws, better with ninjas.
The shark would have been dead earlier.
Shawshank Redemption, he would have got out of there. He would have got out of that
Better
Shawshank a lot
fights in
faster.
prison.
Yeah.
Ninjas.
Why do you think the moon is in most?
That's
is in
why
most movies.
Moonfall didn't work.
Dude, what do
weren't any space
ninjas approach under the moonlight?
Oh, Chris, let me ask you. You're hearing Charlie Cox's things now. Does it sound to you like Charlie Cox really is just, hey, I'm just spitballing, speculating, or does it maybe sound like Charlie Cox actually knows a little something? He's laying the groundwork. Whenever we do see new Daredevil, be it a movie or on Disney Plus, after hearing what Cox had to say, do you expect it to be R? Do you expect it to be PG-13, or is the jury still out for you? What do you think?
I do think this is a carefully curated statement of just like, oh, guys, I think that this is something that we should kind of prepare ourselves for, right? I do think you can do Daredevil in a PG-13 way. I mean, if the Batman can be PG-13 here, I think Daredevil could too. I mean, why would we need it to be R? Do we really need all the blood? Do we need to see Karen do heroin this time? Like, do we need that? Not really. I think, though, I do think it's very interesting that he is talking about how he doesn't quite fit into this universe, though, because I think with the right story, he absolutely could. And yeah, maybe he, Karen, and Peter aren't hanging out with the Hand while she's shooting up and doing stuff. This is comic book accurate for anyone who's like, why is she talking about this?
Karen Page has had a rough life.
Yeah. Poor Karen Page. They put her through the ringer. Gosh. Like, are they going to do that storyline with Peter hanging out with them? No. But if they come together, if they assemble at some point, Charlie Cox's Daredevil can absolutely fit into this universe. I find that strange that he's saying that.
Well, it goes back to what Vincent D'Onofrio was saying before, too, like pointing out, like, as many times as D'Onofrio said, like, in my head, this is the same guy. At the same time, he's also pointed out there are significant differences between the Kingpin in the Netflix shows and what the Kingpin we got in this. So, look, I'm already on the thing. Look, I think there are some very, very, very good legitimate arguments to be made that the D'Onofrio Kingpin and the Charlie Cox Daredevil are one and the same, exact same iterations as the one we saw on Netflix. I don't think that's the case, though. I think we're going to find out they are versions of them, if you will, with some significant changes. But I know, Rob, where are you right now on that? Do you think, like, when we meet this Charlie Cox and this Matt Murdock, is this going to be the same Matt Murdock that had all those conversations with that Foggy in Netflix and that Karen and everything that happened? This is the same guy just carried over, or are you thinking now it's going to be a version of him? Where are you right now?
Well, I think it is the same guy, and I think I do, and that is his backstory. The Daredevil that we've already seen is his backstory. I think they'll refer to it. We don't have to show it necessarily. But I do think it's the same guy, and they'll chalk it up to, we don't even know, maybe Daredevil was blipped like Kingpin. Kingpin was blipped according to the Hawkeye series, so maybe it made him a kinder, gentler Daredevil.
Have to see. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Would you be okay if whatever next iteration of Daredevil we have, be it a movie, a series, whether it's the exact same Daredevil as the Netflix series or an exact duplicate of it, whatever the case is, would you be okay with it if it's PG-13? Do you agree with Charlie Cox that Marvel can absolutely find a way to make it PG-13 and totally work, or does it raise concerns for you? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of this video, Stamps.com. They call what I and what a lot of you guys do small business, but to us, it doesn't seem small. It's the world to us, and you can't afford to miss out on opportunities to grow and keep your customers wanting more. Because time is money. Don't waste either with repeated trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you can skip the trip and focus on how to take your business to the next level. Stamps.com lets you print official postage right from your computer and saves you money in the process, so you can spend less time at the post office and more time making your customers happy. Stamps.com gives you access to all of the post office and UPS shipping services that you need right from your computer. And get discounts you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off USPS rates and 76% off UPS. So stop overpaying for shipping with Stamps.com. Sign up with the promo code Campea for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com and click on the microphone at the top of the page and enter the code Campea.